The key, folks, right now, there's a lot of noise coming at you. Would you please take time to focus?
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
You know, I don't know how your world has changed in the last several weeks. I can tell you mine has changed dramatically. One of the things that I find myself doing more of is spending time with my family, which is an awesome, awesome thing. We seem to be spending a lot of time doing board games, actually. It seems like almost every night we get together, and not every night, but a couple times a week anyway. We get together and do some fun things. I want to share with you 2 games that we played the other night and how they might apply not just to appraisal businesses, but to appraisal businesses during COVID-19, the pandemic. I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by ANow Software. ANow is helping appraisers during the pandemic to do walkthroughs without having to do walkthroughs. I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. It's anow.com is where you want to go to find out more information. In fact, I'll give you a specific address. It's anow.com/walkthrough. The other day, we got together with my family. This is just my immediate family. I've got my 4 kids at home and my wife, and we got together to play Mad Gab. If you've ever played that game, it's an interesting concept. I often look at games and think, I could have thought about that, and I could have been rich. But it's easier to see something and back out of it than it is to not see it and back into it, of course. But Mad Gab is an interesting game. It's a game that they basically give you phrases that you are reading off of a card, and you're actually saying a different phrase and you don't know it. Let me explain. So you get teams, and you flip up the card, and you look at the card, and you start to say what is on the card. It's written in English, right? But it doesn't make sense to you because you're looking at the words that really mean something else if you split up the syllables. Let me give you an example. An example might be easel, aid, ease, man. Okay, so that's 4 words. Easel, like something you'd put a picture on. Aid, like as in Band-Aid. Ease, meaning easy. Man, as in opposite of woman. Easel, aid, ease, man. Easel, aid, ease, man. He's a ladies' man. He's a ladies' man. He's a ladies' man. He's a ladies' man. Get it? This is the game. So you start to say these things out loud, and it's really challenging to figure out because what you're seeing on the paper doesn't match what's coming out of your mouth. Now, there is a key to winning this game, and we figured it out the other day as a family. Let me give you a couple of other examples. These just come from Google, okay? Sample Mad Gabs. No Sawyer. No Sawyer. Like as in Knowsayer. Sayer, no sayer, no sayer, nose there, nose hair, nose hair, nose hair. Okay? Ease ace life ox. Ease ace life fox. Ease say life fox. He's a sly fox. Got it? This is how you play the game. And it can be so frustrating because, of course, it's timed and you get points by how many of these you get right. And you're sitting there saying it. And the funny thing is the person on the other side of the card obviously knows what's being said. In fact, they're on your team and they're trying to coach you. No, slow down. No, don't use that syllable. Use the other syllable. They can't tell you unless you say the right word. And half the time you say it and they're like, yeah, you got it. And they're looking at you like, I got what? Like I don't even know what you're talking about. In other words, you say it so close to what the other person hears that they think you got it right when you had no clue what you just said. You're just reading the stupid card and it doesn't make any sense to you because these are a bunch of words jumbled up that make no sense unless you're on the other side. Now, the key here that we found as a family is that when you're looking at the card itself, it can be confusing as hell. Because your brain tricks you into looking at the actual words and you have the hardest time thinking outside the box. You have the hardest time understanding. It's so complicated in your head that you have a hard time understanding what is actually coming out of your mouth. So one of the keys that we found to playing this game was that there was 3 people on a team. So one person has to look at the answer, right, to know whether you got it right. The other person is reading it off the card. The third person, here's the key, we tell them not to look at the card. Just look at the person saying whatever's on the card. And 9 times out of 10, that would help because you're not being confused by what words are on the card. You're simply listening to what's coming out of their mouth. All right, Dustin, that's nice. Great. I'm glad you had a fun time playing Mad Gab with your family. What the hell does that have to do with the appraisal world? Well, folks, if I can, please indulge me, make an analogy right now, and I think this will be helpful. as you understand them and connect the dots here. Folks, we are right now in a very, very confusing time. There is a lot coming at us, but we do not have an excuse to be anything less than professional and thorough and get credible data and produce reliable appraisal reports. We can't make the call down the road and say, well, gee, it was a confusing time, Judge. Gee, State Board, I'm sorry, it was so confusing. Did you see all that legalese that was coming at us? It was hard to understand it. I saw all the words, but they got confused in my brain. Folks, we need to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. And here is an example, if I may, of how we can do better. Just as in Mad Gab, rather than having that same person look at the words and us trying to figure it out together, the key to winning the game is to have somebody read and the other person to really be checking their work, if you will, listening to what's coming out of their mouth. And 9 times out of 10, it's not the person reading the card that gets it. It's the person listening to the person reading the card that gets it, that figures out what the phrase is. Folks, right now, I'm going to make a suggestion that you take some time to slow down just a little bit, okay? It is a confusing time, but you cannot help or you cannot afford to not check your work. When you do something, have another set of eyes. Have another individual. Folks, we have 3 sets of eyes minimum in our office. Look at every appraisal report. And one of their jobs, in fact, one individual's job, now she does other things as well, but it is her job always to look at the order, to look at where it's coming from and make sure, number 1, did we build it on the right template? Number 2, did we cross our T's and dot our I's? In other words, did we do everything within the scope of work? Number 3, did we tell the story? Where did that data come from, for example? We didn't do a walkthrough, but did we explain why we feel that the data that we have is credible enough to produce a strong valuation? If we didn't, she'll turn it back to the appraiser and say, do it again. Show your work, just as my math teacher used to say. It's one thing to get the right answer. It's a whole other thing to show your work. You have to have credible data, and you have to tell where it comes from. Folks, it's so important to check your work right now. There's going to be buybacks. There are. I don't know what the market's going to do, but folks, don't be stupid. Check your work. Well, Dustin, I work alone. Find someone to check your work. Find somebody that you can train or already has the training that can be a second set of eyes. Reach out. We've got an all-star team that there are individuals within the all-star team that are making allegiance or alliances with one another and saying, listen, I'll check your work if you check mine. Strictly confidential. We're not going to share each other's work, but will you check my reports? I'll check your reports. What an awesome way to give to one another. I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by a great company who is helping us through this pandemic. It is Now Software. Folks, they have produced, and within days of the pandemic, they produced an incredible tool called the Walkthrough. Here's what the Walkthrough will do for you. If you are in one of these situations where you cannot go into the house for health and safety reasons or for government shutdown or what have you, or scope of work issues, period, wouldn't it be best if you could get more details about the interior of that home? Now is allowing you to do that for free. If you are an Now subscriber, there is no extra cost to use this great tool where you send out a link to the homeowner or to the point of contact, maybe it's an agent, who will do the walkthrough and take pictures. These pictures are geocoded. You can't go to your neighbor's house and take pictures. They will match up to an address and to a satellite imagery. Okay, they are time stamped. You can't take a picture of the countertops 3 years ago before they got all scuffed up. This is a great, great tool for appraisers to get more credible data during this difficult time. Check them out. Go to anow.com/coach. Again, it's anow.com/coach. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. We're talking today about board games and how they might relate to this crazy pandemic, this crazy COVID-19 that we find ourselves in, still ongoing. During this time when we were playing Mad Gab, my son, who is, 20 now? And he pulled out an app on his phone. He says, well, you think this is fun? Try this. The app is called Speech Jammer. I don't know if it's on iPhone. He has an Android. Speech Jammer. It's an app that it's interesting. So what happens is he had headphones plugged into his phone. You put the earphones in and you start to talk or sing a song or recite a memorization, right? Something that you know well. Maybe it's the ABCs. What happens is the Speech Jammer pauses for just a little bit and then feeds back to you your own speech. So you're listening to yourself, but with a delay. Okay, so if you are doing the alphabet, for example, and you say A, B, C, by the time you get to D, you hear yourself starting back over. So it's A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So it's kind of an echo, if you will, but it's loud in your ears. And I'm telling you, folks, it screws with your brain like you cannot believe. Like you don't think that it's that big of a deal to say the ABCs, but when you hear yourself on delay saying them back to yourself, it messes with you. It is so weird. So we did ABCs, we sang songs, my wife had memorized the Gettysburg Address, so she gets this in her ears and starts saying 7 years ago. She starts down this path, and it's hilarious for everybody because nobody else can hear what you hear in your head because you've got headphones on, right? You're not doing this out loud. If you were doing it out loud, it wouldn't even be funny. All they're seeing is what you're saying coming out of your mouth, and it is absolutely hilarious. It is funny to watch an individual, for example, when they sing a song, and my wife, by the way, has a lovely voice, an amazing singer, right? And she's singing these songs, she's singing them off tune, she's getting mixed up. We sang Row, Row, Row Your Boat. She sang merrily 6 times. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 merrily. Because it kept going back into her head. It messes with your head, folks. It's crazy. All right, Dustin, what does that have to do with the appraisal world? Again, folks, we have so much coming at us right now that I think it's important to slow down and to take our time. Here is the key to winning, if you will, Speech Jammer. Okay, what you have to do is block out the noise, and it is almost impossible to do. I'll tell you that. That's what's so funny about that. You think you can do it. You look at everybody else and watch them do it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Give me that thing. And you start down this path, and it really does mess with you because you can't help but hear yourself. But the key, and I got pretty good at it after a while, is to simply focus on your brain and the words coming out of your mouth and block out your voice on delay that's coming in through your ears. And it's challenging to do, almost impossible to do, but it can be done if you focus. The key, folks, right now, there's a lot of noise coming at you. Would you please take time to focus? Yes, I mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. My prediction is you're going to see buybacks. When you see buybacks, it basically happens like this. Fannie Mae points a finger at ABC Bank. They're the ones that sold them the paper. ABC Bank points a finger at, guess what? The appraiser. Yeah. Folks, have you crossed your T's? Have you dotted your I's? No, I don't mean to put any fear into you. I don't think that we need to work off of fear. I'm certainly not a fear-based individual. But I would say there is a lesson to be learned right now, despite the fact that there is a lot of noise coming at us, and it can be very challenging and difficult to focus. Please do so. Slow down. Remember, we are professionals. And as professionals, we do a professional job. Speaking of professional jobs and helping each other as appraisers, I mentioned earlier our all-star team. Folks, you cannot ask for a better group of appraisers who work together and bless each other's lives every single day. And right now, I'm offering it to you for free. There's so much noise coming at us right now. Folks, you need the all-star team. You need a group of appraisers who are in the same profession that you're in. They're dealing with the same CRAP that you're dealing with to help you and to hold your hand and to be your buddy through this. Check it out. Go to theappraisercoach.com/memberships. And when you get there, when you get to the checkout, please make sure as you're putting your credit card in, yes, you got to put your credit card in, but trust me, it's free. Just put in free 30 All-Star, FREE 30 All-Star. That's all one word, no spaces, the number 30. You'll get it for absolutely free for a month. Set a timer on your calendar to pop up in 29 days to say, you know what, if I don't like the All-Star team, I'm going to cancel. You'll never be charged a penny. I don't think you will, because it's a great place to be. Check them out. Again, it's theappraisercoach.com/memberships.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.